on 2UE, Beating the High Cost of Living, a David Oldfield cost-saving series.
Yes, lots of savings still ahead. We've looked at a whole range of issues during the course of the last 7 or 8 days, but many still for us to consider. Today we're talking insurance, and this one area where, with the right advice, you can save big money. To give us that advice, I'm joined by business and financial expert and 4-time best-selling author Wilson Luna. Wilson, thanks for your time.
G'day, champion.
Look, how did you know that? How did you know I was a champion?
They gave me the hint outside, actually, so I thought I'd follow that.
I think that was a form of insurance.
Absolutely it is.
Now, look, and on insurance, and I said this at the beginning of the program, my dad always used to say the people who believe they can't afford insurance are the people who most need it.
Absolutely.
So, look, insurance is essentially a gamble, so to speak. Are there any tips for knowing when you should insure, and is there such a thing as not insuring?
The bottom line, I think, is if you can't afford to lose something, or you haven't got the money in the bank to cover it if something was to happen, you should have it insured. And insurance really, when we look at it logically, it's really a premium we pay to outsource that risk. A lot of people see it like a gamble, etc. But the reality is that if something was to happen to you, even from a material perspective or from a life insurance perspective, we're just outsourcing the risk by paying a very small premium. So it makes a lot of sense.
Outsourcing the risk, I like that. Yes, makes perfect sense. Good way of describing it. Well, what mistakes do people generally do when it comes to insurance?
I think they over-insure stuff that they probably shouldn't, and unfortunately they under-insure stuff that they should. And an example of that is, when they insure stuff like material stuff, etc., and yet they forget to insure things like, their income. And at the end of the day, the income is what ends up paying for all these material stuff that we don't forget to insure. So the important thing is saying, where's the source income coming from? The source income's coming from basically if two parents are working, well, the two parents or the one parent that's working. And we always have to sort of go to the source and say that's the number one priority to insure, because everything else can be covered if that income continues. So it's important to take care of that.
Now, my wife went back to work today. She's been off because of maternity leave and what have you and all that sort of stuff. And her new employer actually included in her package insurance to cover loss of position. So exactly that sort of stuff, income insurance. I thought that was incredible, but quite unusual.
Look, I think more employers are even realising that the minute they take care of their employees financially or give them that peace of mind of knowing that if something did happen outside of work, see, if it happens inside of work, generally work cover will cover it. But the minute it happens outside of work, if you're an employee, you think, hey, hang on a minute, they're taking care of me. And look, even if you have to pay for it yourself, in 90% of cases or even a bit more, it is tax deductible, the income protection side of things. So it's worth doing.
Income protection insurance, absolutely. We're going to look at all the various insurance options and how people can save money. One thing I want to put to you here is probably the biggest thing you're ever likely to insure are those who are fortunate enough to own their own home and have that home insured. It's going to be your largest assets you're going to insure. Am I right in understanding that some people make the mistake of insuring, for example, their home contents for less than is really there? You might have $100,000 worth of home contents and you think, I'm not going to lose it all in one go. I'll just insure it for $50,000. Yeah. But then if they lose it all, they only get what they insured it for.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, you always have to take the cost of replacement. So forget about what you've paid for it or what you think it's worth. You've got to consider that you've got to replace it. So what a lot of people do is they underinsure. And when it comes to claiming, they can't get the replacement of those particular products. So be very, very wary with that, yeah.
Does it also work in that, once again, you've got $100,000 worth of home contents, you insure it for $50,000 thinking I'm saving money because I'm never going to lose it all, but you have a fire and you lose about a quarter of, say half of your possessions, but you don't get your half, which is worth $50,000, you get half of the $50,000 that you insured, so you get $25,000 for the $50,000 worth of possessions that you lost because you underinsured intentionally.
Exactly. Look, they pro rata it. Exactly, yeah.
That's an interesting scenario. Look, there's lots of different insurance options for us to look at. How can people save, particularly on home and contents, without underinsuring?
There's heaps of options here. Number one is obviously always look at things like, increasing the safety of the home, deadlocks, window locks, security screens, etc. Another thing is, when we saw this in particular with the Brisbane floods, check your policy details, and so many people don't do this, particularly when it is your largest asset in a majority of cases. Check, if you live in a flood zone, what are the conditions to that insurance, and ask questions. Generally speaking, they'll put the paperwork in front of you and say, look, this is the insurance, take it or leave it, and the reality is that we do have choice. And sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more to be properly covered versus what a lot of people found, in Queensland, that they weren't properly covered because insurance, the T's and C's weren't reading like they thought they should.
Will a little bit more perhaps be in the sense of making sure that you have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed by going through an insurance expert that might evaluate all of the fine print for you and, for example, as you raise the Brisbane floods, actually determine what the insurance policy defines as a flood as opposed to what the rest of us might think is a flood?
Yeah, look, two ways to do it either. Obviously, go through a broker or go through an advisor, and he's basically the onus of that will be pushed onto him, which is a great thing. Or B, do it yourself. But if you do it yourself, spend the time in educating yourself up exactly what it is, and maybe get on the phone with one of their call centres or one of their help centres and ask a million questions. If you think you can do it yourself, you can, but ask a lot of questions.
So home insurance, of course, can be reduced in cost merely by doing the simple things you should be doing anyway, like deadlocks and further securing your home in those. Back to base alarms, does that improve your scenario as well?
That's not a bad idea either. Anything that the insurers believe will reduce the possibility or the risk. At the end of the day, it's a probability game. If they believe that the probability is reduced by something that you do, the premium will go down.
And sadly, in some circumstances, you'll pay more insurance just because of where you live or where you garage your car.
It's one of the unfortunate truths, yeah, absolutely.
And what about life insurance? Advice that you might have for people on that where it comes to saving money?
Saving money on life insurance is pretty easy. Obviously, health. If you're a smoker with really bad health and you're not healthy at all, basically you're going to pay, just to give you an idea on life insurance in particular, you can pay up to double the premium just because you smoke. So it's one of those areas where, not only do you do yourself, a lot of justice from a health perspective, but you save a fortune in the insurance side of things.
Goodness, double the premium because you smoke. Extraordinary. Now, what about getting insured at a younger age? Are you going to be in a better position if you lock yourself in earlier, especially with things like health insurance?
Yes, you are. Absolutely. There's the below 30 aspect there where you can save, where you can basically lock in your premium. Also, when you insure yourself from a life insurance perspective early or any other income protection insurance early, you're in the scenario where, you're getting the base level at an earlier premium.
Wilson, just excuse me for a minute while I go to this situation what we've got occurring with a traffic issue in Marsden Road and Pennant Hills.
Connecting you instantly.
Call now 13 13 32
and have your say.
Rick, go ahead. Thanks for your call.
Mate, just reporting an accident, mate. Northbound Pennant Hills Road, Carlingford, between Evans Road and Marsden Road, just going up the hill there. There's a collision. Looks like two vehicles. There's a fire appliance on site. Ambulance has just arrived, and the traffic's now getting back towards Jenkins Road, mate. It's only not long ago happened, but it looks like there's going to be at least one northbound and one southbound lane blocked.
Thank you, Rick. So Pennant Hills Road, northbound between Evans Road and Marsden Road, best to avoid if you can. Appreciate the call.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you, and thanks there to Rick, and of course anybody else. If you're in the circumstance where you can help your fellow travellers, then give us a call, 13 13 32. Wilson, I think while we're at it, I've got a question here from Brian on self-insuring. Let's have a look at that. Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, g'day, David. Wilson, how are you going? Some time ago when I bought my house, the solicitor told me to get it valued, so I insured it for the exact replacement value. As he explained to me, I insured it for $100,000. And it burnt down and cost $120,000 or $140,000 to replace. They say that I was self-insuring for that $40,000, and they removed that from the amount that I was supposed to be refunded.
Well, that's unusual because, look, generally speaking, there's two types. There's the replacement policies where it really doesn't matter. It stops being a matter of, obviously they're going to get how much you're insuring for, but if the agreement is for replacement, it's for replacement, whilst if it's for total amount, it's a different story altogether. Then that would apply exactly what happened to you. But I'm surprised that they told you that it was for the amount-wise versus just for total replacement.
And, of course, you'd want to pick an option where the increasing value of the home was taken into account, wouldn't you? So that was replacement based on the replacement cost at the time of replacement rather than what it might have been when you took out the insurance policy. Thanks for that, Brian. Yes, an interesting one for us to have a look at there. And look, in the matter of health insurance, are people being sort of sucked in by options like optical, dental? Are these things good value for money or not?
best place to save on this area is exactly what you're saying. Know what you need, because there's a lot of packages out there. It's like going to McDonald's. If you really only want a burger or something, and they'll always try and upsize you to their package, because their package is something that they've systemized, and I suppose they've industrialized to the situation where they get maximum margins for the quantity that they sell off. So what you want to be doing is saying, forget about everything that's offered to you and just write down a list, an accurate list of exactly what you need from a health insurance perspective. The second you've got that list, it's time to go shopping. And when you do that, you can either go online. There's a plethora of good comparison sites. Number two, you can call up a couple of insurers that have specials and ask them the best. And number three, especially when you do call people up or insurance companies up, find out which one specializes in what market segments, because certain insurance companies will specialize in, let's say, seniors, certain ones will specialize in young families, and certain ones will specialize in the 40s, 50s range.
If you've got an insurance question, don't hesitate to give us a call. Wilson will answer your questions for you and direct you as to not only the information from a strict information point of view, but how you might save. That's why we're here, beating the high cost of living. David Oldfield on 2UE 1332, 16 minutes past 11. Wilson, also the matter of comprehensive car insurance. Now, most people, I think, comprehensively insure their cars. We're, of course, required to have third party, understandably so, and thank goodness for that. But comprehensively insuring your car, how can you save where that's concerned? How much competitiveness is there in that area?
Look, comprehensive car insurance, you can save by number one, shopping around. Number two, keeping your car standard, i.e. every single time you put adjustments to the car, or, mag wheels, or an extra turbo in it, or anything like that, the insurers, generally speaking, you'll pay a reasonable premium on that, because they believe that suddenly it becomes much more stealable, if that's the best probably way to put it. So try and keep the car standard as much as you can. Also, you can opt for a higher excess to reduce your premiums. You can also drive safely and try and keep a really good, driving record. That always helps. And think whether you need the second car. That's a really big one. A lot of families that nowadays have got, 2 cars, and if there's 3 adults in the house, they've usually got 3, and really they're only using it to go to work. So sometimes carpooling or anything like that can not only reduce the cost of insurance, but also running a motor vehicle, period.
A lot to be saved there. And we had a quick look at protection insurance as far as income is concerned, and obviously that's an important one. As you pointed out, it's all very well to have home insurance, it's all very well to have contents insurance, car and everything else, but you've got mortgages, you've got costs. If you lose your job, you lose the capacity to pay those things. So it's certainly worth looking at income protection insurance. And as you pointed out, it's tax deductible anyway.
Oh, yeah. Not only that, we've got a situation where, majority of cases, they'll only insure up to 75%. And you always got to take into account, if for whatever reason you were to lose your job, could you pay for the bills that are currently coming in? If your answer is no, get it out, because you shouldn't even be risking this side of it. It's a really important one that's really underestimated, unfortunately.
It comes back to it, doesn't it, what we said at the beginning there, that if you think you can't afford insurance, you're actually the person who most needs it. Yeah. Absolutely. And look, the circumstances here, like many of these things that we've found during the course of the series, it's a question that the savings are there. Are we missing out just by not looking?
Yes, we are. Yeah, absolutely we are. And we're missing out a lot as well, because we're an advertising social society. We're basically, we're gullible to who can advertise the most their products. And the reality is, with the internet world today and comparison sites that are out there, you can actually go out there and find somebody that's offering your specific target market some savings, or someone that's running a loss leader out there. And just by comparing prices, you can save an absolute fortune on it.
19 minutes past 11, and back in a moment with your calls, your questions, types and indeed savings on insurance, as I'm joined here on 2UE with Wilson, our insurance expert. David Oldfield, back with you in a moment.
2UE.
You're listening to David Oldfield
on Sydney's 2UE 954, where you don't miss a thing.
Dad needs to move into aged care, but there's so much to think about. Where do we start?
Start by talking to us. I'm Eric Hyam from Balanced Financial Solutions. If the time's come for a parent to move into an aged care facility, we can show you the best way to do it. How to avoid the pitfalls, maximise your parent's financial position, and achieve the best outcome for mum or dad. Balanced Financial Solutions. Independent aged care specialists. Call 8814 7307. That's 8814 7307.
Plato with a traffic update.
Thanks, David. Waterloo, Elizabeth Cross of McAvoy. Those lights are still not working, merrily flashing away amber. Biggest issue is Carlingford, Pennant Hills Road, just down the hill from Marsden Road. Far right lane closed in both directions. A lot of emergency services with that accident, including rescue. That's 2UE traffic. Get a huge $1,000 My Gift card on selected vehicles across the award-winning range at the Hyundai 3-day sale. Ends this Sunday. I'm Paul Latter, 11:20.
My youngest kid's at school now, so I thought I should get a job. I just needed a bit of training. It was so easy to find a course that suited me. I got a recognised qualification and a new job. I like being an example for my kids, and it's work I enjoy. It's flexible and allows me to do the school pickup. You can improve your qualifications too. If I can do it, you can do it. Visit australia.gov.au/skills or call 133 196. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra, spoken by D. Cooney.
Hi, I'm Eric Milne from AIGTS. Our aim is to provide quality apprentices to quality companies in the engineering service and manufacturing industries. So, for engineering apprenticeship recruitment made simple, call
AIGTS.
It's not a secret, but maybe you didn't know you can save thousands on a used car at Mannheim's fantastic weekly car auctions, and they're on today from 10 a.m. Today they have a massive range of late model, low kilometre vehicles driving through the lanes, many with a balance of new car warranty still with them. View the great range online at mannheim.com.au. That's mannheim.com.au, or view cars on site at 7 days a week at 144 Moorebank Avenue, Moorebank. Mannheim's weekly car auction is every Tuesday from 10 a.m. Don't miss today's auction starting soon. In fact, it's on right now. Mannheim, realise the value.
Need to renew a green slip but don't want to pay too much? You need value. ValueGreenSlips.com.au. Before you renew, get the green slip quotes you need at ValueGreenSlips.com.au.
Hi, this is David Oldfield. I'm looking forward to meeting you in June when we take off for Europe. We'll cruise Scandinavia and Russia aboard the luxurious Jewel of the Seas. We'll visit together Copenhagen and the Amalienborg Palace, the home of Princess Mary. I'll take you to Stockholm in Sweden, Helsinki in Finland, and we'll explore the magnificent palaces and cathedrals of St. Petersburg.
Cruise Scandinavia and Russia with 2UE's David Oldfield, departing June 2012. Call Travel Right on 1-800-033 436.
2UE's tradition of excellence has once again been given the highest accolade. Steve Blander wins Best Newsreader in the prestigious Australian Commercial Radio Awards.
The best in the business, congratulations.
For winning your 15th radio award.
Well done, Steve. Number 16, just round the corner.
Australia's Best Newsreader.
He's the news voice we wake up to. There's the high water mark, and then there's Blander.
Part of Sydney's Best News Service. He's on Sydney's 2UE, where you don't miss a thing.
And Peter has a question for us, Wilson, on the matter of insurance as we're beating the high cost of living here on TUE. Go ahead, Peter. You there, Peter?
Yes, I am. Hi, Wilson and David. How are you?
Good, thanks.
G'day, Peter.
Just talking to an insurance advisor a week or so ago. I'm mid-50s, and he said at my time of life, probably one of the most important insurances to get is a critical illness insurance, which is a once-off payment for something that's diagnosed to be life-threatening. And after phoning around a few insurance companies, it seems that not a lot of them do it. Is this something that's specialised?
Look, did you say you're in your 50s or in your 60s, sorry?
Mid-50s.
Mid-50s, okay. Critical insurance at that age will be very expensive because generally speaking what it covers is for an event. Another name for it is trauma insurance, which basically covers for generally 21 very common events like heart attacks, like things like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And the second, unfortunately, that you get over, they've got these, it works almost like if you can imagine a J curve going upward. The minute that you start hitting your 50s, it suddenly spikes up, dramatically in terms of cost. But most insurers should be able to offer it. I believe that the cut-off point, generally speaking, is around about the 60. So that's probably why you've been advised to go down that path.
Right, okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks on that, Peter. Good luck with it. So under the circumstances like Peter's situation, as you're saying, very expensive when you start to get into your mid-50s for that sort of insurance. Would it have been proportionally cheaper to start younger and you'd be paying less because you were in the program at the beginning?
Significantly cheaper, and not only that, because basically, again, it's a probability game and they believe that you'll have heart attacks and items like that later on in life, there's more likelihood that that would happen. So really, they don't want you to insure yourself at those ages, funnily enough. They rather you start it early. And if you do start it early, there's another option, just quickly. There's one of levelling your premiums. Obviously, check the T's and C's on this one, but if you level your premiums at a young age, you lock yourself in. Now, you start paying higher amounts than what you would if you were using step premiums, but within 5 years, you even it out. And every year after 5 years, you actually end up paying the same premium for the rest of your life versus it's getting stepped up as the age goes by. So, and you save a fortune.
So insurance companies have a genuine interest in your health. They want you to start paying the premiums young and die late.
No.
Pamela, thanks for your call. Go ahead.
Oh, hello, Wilson and David.
Hi.
My problem is this. I've got, I'm in the age bracket too, but I've got my house, the front of my house and up the side, I've got all tiles, and I've got tradesmen and people that walk up it, and they're quite slippery. Like, you know, they're not really, they've been treated, they're not really slippery, but I want to know if I can insure for the people, like for safety if they walk up and slip. It's quite a big area.
Yeah, so people coming onto your property, those sorts of things, Pamela.
Yes,
We'll have a look at that. Appreciate those thoughts. What do you think on that one, Wilson? People coming onto your property and where you stand, should they have an accident slipping on tiles or something similar? Yeah, look, if it's just normal use and this renovation is generally just a one-off thing, you should be okay. Your house and contents should probably cover that, I would say. If it's something abnormal and those renovations are going on for years and years, that might be something to have a chat to your insurer about. Yeah, I think in Pamela's case, it's not so much a renovation, but tiles that are in place. Okay. But she's just concerned that they might be a little bit slippery, I suppose, also in wet. So where do you stand generally with people who come on, invited or otherwise, onto your property and potentially injure themselves by virtue of falling downstairs or slipping on tiles or something similar? Okay, if it's due to a renovation that was incorrectly done, then suddenly you might have some issues and you should look into it. If it's a new home or if it's a house that's been existing for a while and there's nothing really wrong with it, in a lot of cases your home and content will probably cover the general people coming onto your property. Obviously, if you turn the property into something worth commercial or something, and that's why I said the size of the renovation, etc., so things slightly could change. Yeah, the change of the use. Yes. Yeah. Okay, or change of the actual area itself. So most certainly, if you've got any questions on this specific to your property, best to get onto the dealer, best to get onto your insurance agent and find out whether you are covered under those specific circumstances. I'll go even further. Even when something like this does occur and you've got any queries, call your insurer up, and if you can, get them to write down something in terms of, look, I've got this issue, would this be an issue? And the minute that you ask them and you get something in writing from them, and a lot of them will balk at it, but ask them for it. The minute you've done that, you're covered. Put them on the spot, get it in writing. Yeah, you're paying them the premium, so when you're going to claim, you want to make sure that they can pay the claims. Get them on the spot. We've looked at car insurance, income protection insurance, home and contents insurance, comprehensive insurance. We've looked at all of those sorts of matters that are going to save you money if you are not lazy and you're shopping around and trying to do the best you can. Just on the sorts of things we've looked at here this morning, Wilson, what's the sort of money you think the average Australian family can save on these tips? Yeah, look, we've got about 97,500 members, and we've got a program that we sort of put out there, and we got an estimation of, on average, how much roughly people could save. And I think the final survey came out, sort of something like 2,000 people participated in it, and it was quite interesting because we went between $1,500 and $2,500 you could save on average on all the insurances. I want to be clear, you want to be going all your general insurances, including your car, including your, let's say you had each person of the couple had, things like income protection, trauma, life insurance, everything. You can save between $1,500 and $2,500 quite easily. Would you have included in that bundling all that insurance together and going with one person? There is good savings to be done in that, but again, look at the fine print, because in a lot of cases, it's like it's almost like I call it's like the frequent flyer programs that are out there. Sometimes you're better off looking around for savings. You'll get more than the actual program offers. So compare, save, and hopefully save a fortune next year. Groceries, telecommunications, electricity, motoring, finance, insurance, there's lots to be saved, and when you add it all together just over the course of the last week, we've looked at savings that are there potentially available for you by having a good look around and checking into all of these options around the plus $10,000 a year, $200 a week for the average family just so far in what we've had a look at in these last few days. Tomorrow, we're talking water. one of those things that's hitting all of us more and more and more as water, something we once upon a time didn't really take into account very much as a cost, actually becomes quite expensive. Thank you very much for your time, Wilson. David Oldfield, 2UE, back in a few moments' time, nearly 11:30.
You don't